Hello there you guys, welcome to one of my videos. This is your Manchester United Real Sociedad preview. In the Europa League, round of 32, second leg. It's at Old Trafford, it's Thursday night, 8 o'clock, kick-off. We are basically into the last 16 of the Europa League. We beat Real Sociedad in the first leg 4-0 in Turin. Obviously they couldn't play it in Spain due to travel restrictions. It was goals from Bruno Fernandes, he scored 2. Marcus Rashford scored and Daniel James scored, and it was a very good performance by Manchester United. We recently had a good win against Newcastle. In the Premier League, we're beating them 3-1. But it wasn't the best of performances, but it was just good to get back to winning ways in the Premier League. Because prior to that game, we'd only won 1 of our last 5 in the Premier League, and Solskjaer come out after the 3-1 win against Newcastle and he says that Man United are still in the title race despite the 10-point gap. But he said the same thing after our 1-1 draw with West Brom, that we are still in the title race. But I've totally disregarded the title. I said top 4 is our aim now, and I can almost assure that we will get the top 4. Now, Solskjaer did say after our 4-0 win against Real Sociedad in the first leg that Amad Diallo Traore could make his first start in the second leg. Amad Diallo Traore came on against Real Sociedad and made his first team debut, and he showed his skills and tricks when he came on. Amad Diallo Traore did very, very well for the under-23s. He also came on in the game. Oh no, did he come on in the game against Newcastle? Oh no, I don't think he did come on in the game against Newcastle. Solskjaer has now said in regards to Amad Diallo Traore, he probably won't start in the second leg, but he's going to be part of the squad. He said the same thing regarding Sociedad. Now, Sociedad made his first team debut. Yes, he come on in the game against Newcastle. And Sociedad, according to Rolly, probably won't be starting against Sociedad, but he's going to be part of the squad. Solskjaer's give us an update on Donny van de Beek, Edison Cavani and Scott McTominay. He said he doesn't know what's going to be happening with them, but he said they may be available. Now, Edison Cavani's not played in our last 2 games. Edison Cavani has been out with a muscle problem. McTominay, I think's had a knock. And Donny van de Beek, he's had a muscle problem. We know that Paul Pogba won't play any part in this game on Thursday, because Solskjaer did confirm prior to the first leg against Sociedad that Paul Pogba is going to be out for the rest of February. So Paul Pogba should be back in early March. But to be honest with you, I think Solskjaer should start Amad Diallo, Traore and Sociedad, because at the end of the day, we've got a 4-goal lead. He should give a few young players their chances. I'm expecting Ole to, make changes from our 3-1 win against Newcastle recently. Real Sociedad, they are a pretty good team. They're not a brilliant team. They did win recently 4-0. They are 5th in the La Liga. Their current manager is Emmanuel Alguacil. I do know a few of their players. Obviously they've got that Carlos Fernandez. I think he's been out with injury. They bought Carlos Fernandez back in January. They've also got David Silva. They brought him in last year from Man City on a 3. They've got Adnan Januzaj. It was a bad reunion for Adnan Januzaj in the first leg. Adnan Januzaj did say prior to the first leg that he's got nothing to prove against Man United. They've also got Monreal. They've got that Normand. I think Normand is suspended for this game. Don't forget Real Sociedad let Willian Jose go. But yeah, I am expecting Manchester United to win this game. After Real Sociedad, we do play Chelsea away. That will be a tough game, will Chelsea. Chelsea have been very, very good under Thomas Tuchel. They haven't lost under Thomas Tuchel yet. Chelsea appointed him in earlier on this season to replace Frank Lampard. Because Chelsea sacked Frank Lampard earlier on this season after just 18 months in charge. Chelsea have sacked a hell of a lot of managers. They sacked Lampard. Don't forget they sacked Maurizio Sarri. Maurizio Sarri, I think, only enjoyed one season with them. Sarri, did win the Europa League with Chelsea, and he also got Chelsea to the League Cup final. Don't forget they did sack Conte. He won the league with Chelsea. They also sacked Jose Mourinho. Jose Mourinho, I think, enjoyed 2 periods with Chelsea. They sacked Rafa Benitez. They sacked Gus Higgins. I think they sacked Di Matteo. They sacked Scarala. They sacked Avram Grant. Villas-Boas, I think they also sacked him. They won the Champions League under Villas-Boas. They also sacked Carlo Ancelotti, and Carlo Ancelotti did quite well for Chelsea. I think he won 2 trophies in his first season. But yeah, it is at Stamford Bridge. Stamford Bridge used to be a fortress when Chelsea had Jose Mourinho. Now, we did beat Chelsea 3 times out of the 4 times we played them last season. We're beating them at Stamford Bridge in the league last season 2-0. That was actually our first win at Stamford Bridge in the Premier League since 2012. We're beating them in the League Cup at Stamford Bridge 2-1. And we're beating them at Old Trafford on the opening day of last season 4-0. And it was a 0-0 draw earlier on this season. That was a very, very poor game. Chelsea brought quite a few players in last year. Spent quite a lot of money on them. It was obviously Frank Lampard that brought these players in. They obviously brought Hakim Ziyech in. They brought Timo Werner in. Timo Werner hasn't done as good as I expected him to. They also brought Ben Chilwell in. They brought Kai Havertz in. They brought Milan Sarr in. They brought Thiago Silva in. And they also brought Mendy in. Don't forget, Chelsea have loaned a lot of players out. I think that N'Golo Kante is a very good player for them. They've got that Jorginho, to be honest with you. I don't really rate that Jorginho, to be honest with you. They've got quite a few young players as well of Chelsea. They've got Tammy Abraham, they've got Mason Mount, they've got Callum Hudson-Odoi, they've got that Billy Gilmour, they've got Christian Pulisic, they've got Christian Pulisic from Dortmund. Yeah, they've got quite a few young players. Olivier Giroud, don't really rate him, to be honest with you. I think Rudiger to be honest with you, is a good centre-half for Chelsea. Arrizabalaga, he's a dreadful goalkeeper, but he still, plays in goal for Chelsea. Don't forget, a few years ago, Chelsea did have a transfer ban. And they did let Eden Hazard go, and I think Chelsea actually made a mistake by getting rid of Eden Hazard. Eden Hazard endured 7.5 years with Chelsea. But yeah, Chelsea is a must-win game for us. After Chelsea, it is Crystal Palace. I actually thought it was City after Crystal Palace. No, I thought it was City after Chelsea, sorry, but it turns out now it's Crystal Palace before Manchester City. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer must win a trophy at Manchester United to avoid the sack. And like I said, the FA Cup is a chance of a trophy. And the Europa League is a chance of a trophy. We haven't won a trophy since 2017, and the club of our stature need to be winning trophies. This year's summer transfer window is very important, and it's Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's biggest in his managerial career. Now, Solskjaer confirms that he's got the backing of the owners to get the players he wants to recommend in. It said the other week that Man United are prepared to smash their transfer record in the summer, and Woodward is set to hand Ole Gunnar Solskjaer a huge war chest to sign top players in all areas. Now, it did recently say that Solskjaer wants 3 signings in the summer transfer window. And he said he wants a forward, a right winger and a centre-half, and he's set to sit down with Ed Woodward to negotiate our business in the next couple of weeks. But now, it says in the summer we want a centre-half and a forward, and we no longer want a right winger because of the progress of Mason Greenwood and Mason Greenwood's new contract. There has been stories coming out today saying that the Jadon Sancho deal to Man United is now off. But I'm expecting Solskjaer to be backed in the summer transfer window because I don't think he's been backed enough so far. He's endured 4 transfer windows as permanent Man United manager. Solskjaer's made good signings, but obviously as yet he hasn't got all the players that he wanted to recommend in. Woodward's come out several times though to show his support for Ollie, and he did say towards the end of last year he will back him with a long-term plan centred around summer transfer windows. Like I've said to you, the board has been one of the biggest problems at the club for several years. Woodward's been at the football club since 2012, and the Glazers have been at the football club since 2005. I said it was a disappointing January transfer window for us because we only saw one arrival, and that was Amad Diallo Traore. But Solskjaer did say a few times during the January transfer window that, he wasn't expecting any signings. And during the January transfer window, we was focusing a lot more on the outgoings rather than the incomings. And to Solskjaer's credit, he has got rid of a lot of the deadwood since he got recommended in. We saw a few players leaving the January transfer window, didn't we? But yeah, anyway, the news on Jadon Sancho. I gave you the news on him earlier on today. We have cooled our interest in Jadon Sancho. David Ornstein from The Athletic said Mason Greenwood's progress and his new contract is the main reason why we've dropped our interest in Jadon Sancho. Sports Kicker via Sports Witness said not so long ago, or should I say Kicker via Sports Witness, sorry, said that a Jadon Sancho transfer is coming in the summer. And it says Dortmund will only sell Jadon Sancho this summer on one condition, and that's if they can keep Erling Haaland. But Dortmund do face a summer of exits. It says Dortmund could sell up to 8 players in the summer to raise funds. But yeah, last summer Jadon Sancho was our number one priority target, but Dortmund's valuation was £108 million. Earlier on this season, Bild said that Dortmund reduced their asking price to £88 million. The news on Ireland. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer would love to sign Erling Haaland. The news on Jules Koundé. It's recently said that he's our top target for the summer. He's a centre-half, is Jules Koundé. We do need to get a centre-half in because we need someone to go alongside Maguire. It said the other week we had a 5-man centre-back shortlist. I'm expecting more players to leave Man United in the summer transfer window. I think Juan Mata could leave in the summer. Juan Mata's current contract expires in the summer, but we do have an option to trigger his contract for a further year. Juan Mata doesn't really play a lot now, but I think he has had a good career at Manchester United. He's been at the club now over 6 years. Earlier on this season, Juan Mata rejected an £18 million a year contract offer to play in Saudi Arabia. We got Juan Mata in a deal worth £40 million from Chelsea back in 2014. Mata's made over 200 appearances for the club in all competitions and he's scored 50 goals. Matic, there's a chance we'll sell him in the summer. Matic isn't one of our first choice midfielders, but he still gets his chances. Matic. I've always had my reservations about Matic because he's always been a slow player. And obviously now he's aging up. Matic has been at the club now almost 4 years. We got Matic in a deal worth £40 million from Chelsea back in 2017. I think we need to sell Anthony Martial in this summer because he doesn't have a long-term future at Man United. Who will be our long-term number 9? If we offload Anthony Martial. Obviously, Edison Cavani isn't our long-term number 9. Because he'll leave probably after next season. But yeah, in regards to Martial, he has been out of form for the vast majority of this season. He's had chances, but he hasn't converted them. But Solskjaer's backed Martial to rediscover his form. Martial was good though last season, and he was good in his debut season under Louis van Gaal. Martial has been at the club now over 5 years. Do you think we should sell Lindelof in the summer? Because Lindelof is a liability. And Lindelof and Maguire don't complement each other in our back line. I think Bay and Maguire go very, very well together. And I certainly prefer Bay to Lindelof, but, Bay is too injury prone, so he is a liability in that aspect. There's a good chance, Paul Pogba will leave in the summer. I can't assure it, but like I said, there's a good chance he will. Paul Pogba has had a long-running transfer saga, hasn't he? Madrid, Juventus and PSG have been in for him. We've already revealed our asking price for Pogba. We want £100 million. I'm very, very sceptical we'll get £100 million. Paul Pogba is obviously out with a thigh injury at the moment. like I said, should be back in early March. Paul Pogba's performances in recent months, though, have been very, very good. They really have. He's probably been enjoying the best period in his Man United career. Earlier on this season, Pogba had an ankle injury and he was out for the vast majority of last season with an ankle injury. It said in January that Pogba was considering making a U-turn at the club, and he contradicted his agent Mino Raiola for the second time. But yeah, his future is on hold until the end of the season. Solskjaer came out a few weeks ago and suggested that Pogba could sign a new contract, and he said he's happy at Man United and we've held talks regarding his future. Now, if we can't get a replacement for Pogba in the summer, then maybe he will sign a new contract. Paul Pogba's agent, Mino Raiola, is desperate to get his client out of the football club in the summer. Mino Raiola's been criticised a few times. He doesn't have a good relationship with Man United. Earlier on this season, we triggered that 1-year extension on Pogba's contract, so he's under contract with the club until June 2022. As it stands at the moment, he is our most expensive signing because we paid £89 million for him. Like I said, we could sell David De Gea in the summer. There has been narratives coming out today saying that we could make a move for Donnarumma in the summer if he's convinced to leave AC Milan. We've been in for Donnarumma before. Do you think he'd be a good replacement for De Gea? But he recently said that Solskjaer is prepared to sell De Gea or Dean Henderson in the summer transfer window. I think it should be De Gea. Paul Scholes has been talking recently and he said that De Gea has become a real problem for Man United, and Solskjaer's already warned David De Gea that his number 1 jersey is under threat. Gary Neville was talking not so long ago, saying that Solskjaer must deal with the goalkeeper situation. Yeah, a few years ago, De Gea was the best goalkeeper in the world, but in the last couple of years, he's become a liability, reflecting on the calamitous mistakes he's made. This is De Gea's 10th season at Manchester United, so he has been a long servant. He's going to remain our number 1 though for at least this season. Apparently 3 clubs are in for De Gea, that's Juventus, PSG and Bayern Munich, I think. There again, Dean Henderson, I think, will leave the club anyway if he's not guaranteed the number 1 role. I think Dean Henderson has done well in the games he's played in this season. I think Dean Henderson is now reliable enough to become our number 1 goalkeeper because he has got that experience behind him. He endured 2 successful loans with Sheffield United. And before the start of this season, he signed a 6-year contract with Man United. I think around 3 Premier League clubs are in for Dean Henderson. And I'm expecting Phil Jones to leave this year because Phil Jones doesn't get into our 11. Surprised Jones didn't leave in January. But Solskjaer said he's going to give him another chance. Phil Jones has been out of injury for over a year now. This is Jones' 10th season at the football club. But like I said, in regards to Ole, I'm definitely Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in. I think he's made fantastic progress at Man United. There has been some games where he's got the best out of the players. In recent months we've seen performances improve. Certain players are improving as well, like I've gone through with you. And we've enjoyed good periods under him. Obviously we've had his bad periods as well. And you can say the bad periods we had under him, he was lucky not to be sacked. Solskjaer's been criticised a lot as Manchester United manager. When we have been inconsistent under him, some of the blame stemmed from him, but not all of the blame stemmed from him, because not all of the blame stems from the manager. Is some of the players as well and that to blame. Solskjaer's decision making is my biggest concern, because in a lot of his games at Man United he's been tactically naive, but there's also been some games where he has showed tactical flexibility. Solskjaer, has beat a few big managers since he come in. He's beat Guardiola 3 times. I think he's beat Tuchel twice. I think he's beaten Mourinho, is it once or twice? So yeah. Yeah, he beat Frank Lampard 3 times last season. Obviously, he's not a big manager, but he still beat him 3 times. But I've got to say, this season we have struggled against the top 6 sides in the Premier League, so we have got to start beating some of the big teams. But we've got a fantastic away record in the Premier League. That's good. We haven't lost away from home in the Premier League for over a year. Solskjaer deserves credit because he's got us to the FA Cup quarter-finals, got us to the EFL Cup semi-final this season. He's more or less got us to the last 16 of the Europa League. Ollie did well last season in his first full season at the club. Went on a 19-game unbeaten run last season. We finished third last season. We got to 3 semi-finals and we got qualification for the Champions League. And I've got to say, Solskjaer is the best manager since Ferguson. I think Ollie will sign a new contract at the end of the season. He deserves a new contract. Solskjaer recently admitted, though, that he's still waiting to open talks over a new contract. Narratives came out the other week and said that we will begin contract talks with Solskjaer at the end of the season. We could offer him a new 2-year deal on one condition, and that's if we qualify for the Champions League. He's into the final 18 months of his current contract. Solskjaer's been Man United manager now over 2 years. This is his third season at the club. We appointed Solskjaer in December 2018 and he's been permanent Man United manager since March 2019. We're sitting second in the Premier League. Like I've already said to if we can finish in the top 4, top 3 this season and we can win a trophy, I think that'll represent a good season for Man United. Then that'll give us something to build on going on into next season. So I think Ollie, is doing well. He's learned quite a bit at the club. He's gained managerial experience with how long he's been here. Man United is the 3rd club in his managerial career. Because before he was with us, he was at Mulder. And before he was at Mulder, he was at Cardiff. And we've also extended a lot of players' contracts as well since Ollie came in. And I also like the way that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has promoted the youth. Don't forget, Ole is inheriting players from other managerial eras. So, like I say, I think if we can get the right players in the summer and that, I think, we'll be in there with a shout for next season for the title. So anyway, guys, that's everything to update you today. Drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless you all again very, very soon.